Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast. Here's your host, Logan Bailey.
Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast, football edition, brought to you by our primary sponsor, BSN Sports. I'm your host, Logan Bailey, and joined today by Keith Brown, Tony Fairchild, and AJ Fairchild producing in the back. So thanks again, guys, for joining me for another week on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
All right, another week in the books. We're moving on to week 5. A lot of good football, but what are your kind of thoughts going into this week?
Well, things start to get real. Teams are starting to play. It's a tougher schedule and getting into league play, getting deeper into league play. It's the second week of league play, and we'll see what people are made of.
Yeah, last week we had a couple good conference games in week 1 of conference schedule, and this week, same thing. We got a couple more huge contests on the docket that could decide who's going to win and or lose the conference. So we'll talk about those here in a little bit.
Yeah, a couple of big matchups. We know, like Keith said, we'll talk in the NWOAL, the GMC, ones that could really determine the fate of the conference. So
yeah.
It's do or die time now, getting into conference play here. And these games, can make or break a lot of these teams and for a conference championship. So a lot of points, too, for the playoffs on the line as well. So let's get into the next section here. Just talking news and notes from the area. So last week, as we mentioned, the 180th Fighter Wing had some jets that flew over for military appreciation night. They flew over Swanton, Springfield, Clay, Northview, Southview, Maumee, and Anthony Wayne. Pretty cool experience. I'll throw in a clip here in just a minute, but pretty cool if you're a player and to see the jets fly over. And granted, they probably didn't fly over as low as I thought they would, which would have been even cooler, but not very often do you get to see fighter jets fly over and start off a high school football game. No. So I've been to a couple college games where you see college flyovers, but nothing at the high school level. Yeah, so pretty cool. I don't know. You guys got a chance to watch some of them too?
I haven't seen them.
Yeah, a couple still photos and a couple live video shots. I think the one Shelby had, the still photo, was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was a cool picture.
Perfect background and everything. So yeah, it was quite the honor.
But yeah, that's pretty cool for Military Appreciation Night. Another news and notes. St. Mary's actually completed the rare free kick last Friday against Defiance. And Defiance, what happened is they punted. St. Mary's caught the ball on the Defiance 39. There's about, I think, 20 seconds left before halftime.
Yep.
So St. Mary's elected to do the free kick, and kicker Brady Triplett kicked a 49-yard field goal, breaking the school record. So pretty impressive. I'll attach the clip here next. Thanks to Michael Hearn for sending it in. And per Michael Hearn, Bo Fry, the head coach, had said that they have practiced the free kick every Thursday for the last 20 years. I just thought that was pretty incredible. Something that you practice every single time. And granted, Thursday practices really aren't all that hard of a practice. But, they ended up paying off for him 20 years later.
Yeah, so. There's something like I've never seen that. You would think you'd see it at the high school level or the professional level or the college level or the professional level, but to see it at the high school level was pretty cool to see. It was just like a kickoff.
I think in the NFL, it's only been completed a handful of times and, actually made. And I think in the NFL too, they like to do it for really long, essentially field goals. So yeah, pretty incredible to see at the high school level.
Really long field goals. You see that Cowboy kicker kick 64 yards?
Right.
Yeah, so he
could have made the game.
Could have made it from 74 yards.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Heck of a leg.
And then the last point we had for news and notes from the area was Liberty Center actually had 11 players record a carry on offense in their 64-0 win versus Swanton. I'm not even sure that some teams even have 5 or 6 running backs on the team, let alone 11 that would get a carry in a varsity game. Very impressive.
That number is just astonishing.
And I think it goes to show, too, that, getting kids in like that, in a blowout victory, keeps them involved and keeps them excited. And, that's how I think, Liberty Center continues to develop talent. Is they get these kids in, especially, when they're up big early and they continue to let them play. And, making deep playoff runs helps, too. Yeah. Essentially, over all the years, Liberty Center has another season under their belt, essentially. Right. So
nothing like game action on Friday night, especially if you're a JV kid that
no kidding,
very seldom play.
All right, well, we're going to get into last week's game prediction results to see how we ended up finishing. The last week a little bit more rough, but for the most part we finished well. Matthew, Logan, myself, Keith, and Tony finished first last week with 15-5 records, and last was AJ all alone with 14-6 records. So no more AJ at the back of the pack. I shouldn't say tied with Tony and AJ, but there's still a lot of time left to make up some ground.
One game ahead of them. We're all right.
On the year, Matthew leads with a 67-13 record, good for 84%. Myself, Logan, in second with a 65-15 record, good for 81%. Third is Keith with a 62-18 record, 78%. Fourth is Tony with a 57-23 record, good for 71%. And fifth is AJ with a 56-24 record, good for 70%. So definitely last week, there's some games that got us. I know the Eden game got us. Delta game was a deciding game for a lot of us, Delta Archbold, and we were split on that and ended up paying big for a lot of us in our predictions. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into Week 4 game recaps, and we're going to kick things off with the NWO Sports Game of the Week, and that was none other than Archbold at Delta. Archbold ended up winning this one 36-30 at the half. Archbold was up, actually down 14-16 to Delta. Total offense, Archbold threw up 353 yards of total offense, 275 passing, 78 rushing. Delta had 336 with 308 rushing, 28 passing. Turnovers for the game, Archbold had 0, Delta had 1 interception. And fourth down conversions, Delta had 3 of 3, 100% for fourth down conversions. Archbold had 0 attempts. So I thought that was pretty interesting to see, especially in a game like this. And then Archbold, they scored 14 fourth quarter points to take the lead, and they ended up securing a win. And then Archbold actually sealed this game on an interception thanks to Aringer Krieger in the end zone. So Delta drove down the field and had an opportunity at the end. But Archbold's defense came up big. Some top players from Archbold, quarterback Maddox Pinter. Man, pretty solid performance from a quarterback. It was 22-27, 81%, 253 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and had a rushing touchdown. About as efficient as you can get as a quarterback, especially in a big conference game like this. H-back, Anderson Bentley, I mentioned him last week against Sonora. Was really impressed with him for his blocking skills, showing he can receive a little bit too. 6 receptions, 105 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown, so nice job out of him. Running back Ryder Ryan, 13 carries, 76 rushing yards, good for 5.8 a carry, 1 rushing touchdown, 4 receptions for 17 yards, and a receiving touchdown. And wide receiver Morgan Harris, 7 receptions, 99 receiving yards for 1 receiving touchdown. And I believe he leads the league in receiving as well. From Delta, some top players, running back Marcus Nagel, 25 carries, 123 rushing yards, 4.9 a carry with 3 rushing touchdowns. Running back Vincent Martinez really stepped up this game too. 11 carries, 133 rushing yards, good for 12 yards a carry and 1 rushing touchdown. So, guys, thoughts on the Archbold at Delta game?
And for me, I mean, you looked at Delta, they had 2 running backs over 100 yards. That's tough to stop. You know, just handing the ball off to those guys, letting them do their thing. But I think it comes down to Delta not being able to, you know, they only threw the ball 7 times in a game. When you come down and you're down and late in the game, you know, you got to get the ball in the air. And if you're not used to throwing the ball, you know, sometimes things happen, and maybe that led to the pick in the end zone. But either way, a great game between the 2 teams.
Yeah, it's the 3rd comeback win for Delta, I believe.
For Archbold?
Or Archbold, I mean. For Archbold. I'm sorry.
So.
For Archbold. They had the big lead against Sonora and had to, you know, hold off the Rams in the second half. But Archbold's one of those sneaky teams that you didn't know what they had at quarterback coming into the season. And Maddox Penner, week by week, continues to impress, and his numbers continue to grow. And, I mean, you know what you get out of Ryder Ryan, one of the top 3-4 running backs in the league. Morgan Harris, as you mentioned, Logan.
And actually they have the top receiver, and Ryder Ryan's the top rusher in the conference as well in terms of rushing yards.
Yep.
So pretty impressive out of their offense.
Yeah, but Archbold to continue to click on all cylinders. And as Coach Fairchild said, Delta, they have a fantastic running game, but inability to throw the ball, I think, is going to hinder them when needed. And but for a second straight week, Archbold with an interception to seal a win in the closing seconds. So,
yeah, I mean, I totally agree with the points you guys made. Again, Archbold's really impressing me. I remember back in the preview for the conferences, Archbold came up and I really had no idea what to expect. You know, what kind of quarterback was going to come in. They really weren't sure who was going to get the starting job. I believe even week 1, they were kind of back and forth between a couple quarterbacks too. But Maddox Penner has really stepped up, and he's looking to be a pretty solid quarterback in the league. And, it's paying big dividends when you can go out there and throw the ball over 80% completion percentage. You're not making turnovers. You're making good decisions, and you're putting points on the board. And you can't ask much more out of a quality quarterback like Maddox is doing. So, especially under, a coach like David Dominic, one of the better coaches in the area.
Yep.
I think Maddox is just going to continue to develop as the season goes on and, as the years go on too.
Yep.
So pretty impressed out of that. And then, going back to Delta, there are 2 losses, to Archbold, a solid team, and to Fairview, a solid team. So, Delta sitting at 2-2 is still nothing to, count out at this point.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
Delta's
were,
a very
they were in
solid
competition in both those games.
Yep.
I mean, it
Yes.
was-
And they had, like you said, they had opportunities to win those games late, and we're still in those ball games. But again, solid running backs with Marcus Nagel and Vincent Martinez. They can run the ball all day long, but it's just that passing attack. I think if they could develop that a little bit more, even if they could throw it maybe 10 to 15 times, just so you can continue to develop to the point where if you do get in a situation where you're down late in the game, you can throw the football a little bit. At least if it's an incompletion, the clock stops,
Right.
and the clock's just not ticking over and over and over again. Because really, it's tough to run a 2-minute drill with a running offense. So
Yep.
I think if Delta continues to improve on that, they can definitely make some noise later on in the season.
Yep.
So overall, solid game. This, again, our game of the week for NWO Sports. If you're just a fan wanting to go to a high school game and you don't really have ties to any school, or you just want to watch a really good game, go to these games that we pick out, because these are the ones that we want to have special coverage each week because we know they're going to be solid games. Let's move on to the next game here. Looking at Napoleon at Clay. Napoleon came up with the big win in this one, 23-15. At the half, Napoleon was down 6-7. Total offense for the game, Napoleon had 222 yards, 202 rushing yards, so they ran that rock, 14 passing yards. Clay had 329 yards, 246 passing, and 83 rushing. Turnovers, Napoleon had 0. Clay had 2 interceptions, both resulting in touchdowns for Napoleon. And big point from this was Napoleon won the turnover battle, and they picked off Clay sophomore quarterback Landon Eckleberry twice. And Landon was a transfer from Findlay High School. He holds offers currently from Toledo and Miami, Ohio. And he's also getting looks from Michigan and Boston College with, I believe, visits coming up too.
Wow.
So kid's looking big time. He actually filled in for Ryan Montgomery at Findlay when Ryan got hurt. So he got some starting time last year. And I actually didn't even realize, because we don't cover Findlay, that he transferred to Clay. So went from Findlay to Clay, and Clay's had a couple good quarterbacks, and Mason Heinschel from last year's over at Pitt.
Yep.
So maybe wanted to go there to develop a little bit more. So some top players from Napoleon, running back Hayden Grohl. And I just want to give this kid a shout out. 24 carries, 145 rushing yards, 6 yards a carry. I think all year long for Napoleon, everyone's been talking, Eggers. And George Eggers is a phenomenal athlete, but hey, you got to give this kid credit.
Yep.
He has done a tremendous job filling in for George on the offense, really doing well. Each game it seems like every time we look at it, the box score, he's got over 100 rushing yards, a couple rushing touchdowns, and he's really kind of the spark for that offense at this point. So, nice job to Hayden Grohl. He continues to have weekly performances that, help Napoleon come up with a win. Defensive back Paul Saucer, 9 tackles, a team high, 195-yard pick 6 with 3 pass breakups. Defensive lineman Quentin Maynard had one of the interceptions, returned for 61 yards and a touchdown. Running back linebacker George Eggers was able to get into this game, 8 carries, 31 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. He had 2 tackles, 1 sack on defense. And from Clay, quarterback Landon Eckleberry, 16 of 35, 246 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown with 2 interceptions with 25 rushing yards. And Carter Wallenczak had 1 receiving touchdown. So, guys, thoughts on the Napoleon and Clay game? What a big game for the Wildcats.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think it's kind of a surprise, at least this game right here, that Napoleon, came back and won. Defense, heck of a defense performance by the Wildcats, but I saw both those returns, and that return by Saucer is fun to watch. Catches it at the goal line, he kind of weaves through some traffic, and I think from about the 15 on, there was nobody that was going to catch him. He was gone. But you're right, Logan. George Eggers slowly coming back. I think it's his first game that he's played. And what can you say about Hayden Grohl? You said it all. I mean, now you have 2 running backs that are capable. You have the all-state running back coming back. Obviously not full strength yet. But, I mean, Napoleon, if you look at their schedule coming up, there's possibly 5 wins on the schedule.
They've got a lot of winnable games.
Yes.
And, with Grohl on the season, he's got 90 carries, 469 rushing yards, good for 5.2 yards a carry, 3 rushing touchdowns, and going back to averaging over 100 yards a game, he's averaging 117.2 yards a game.
Yeah,
against some top quality opponents too.
Right, I'm with you, Keith. If you get him, and if Eggers gets back where he's full strength, you get the 1-2 punch back there. That'd be tough to stop.
Yes.
Yeah, and Kelby Parsons, I know he didn't throw much in this game. They only threw the ball 5 times, but obviously the run attack was working, and their defense was playing solid too. Their defense scored more points than their offense did. Yeah. So tremendous job on that Napoleon defense. But Napoleon's rolling, and this is a huge win for them in their season.
Definitely.
Let's move on to the next game. Looking at Wauseon at Evergreen, another big-time matchup in the NWOAL. Evergreen ended up winning this one 14-7. At the half, both teams were tied up 7-7. Total offense, Evergreen had 231 yards with 143 passing, 88 rushing, and turnovers for the game. Evergreen had 0. Wauseon had 0. Some top players from Evergreen. Quarterback Bryce Bolger, 7-17, 143 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, and he had 14 carries, 4 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Running back Quentin Eisel had 9 carries, 72 rushing yards with 2 receptions for 68 receiving yards. And wide receiver Will Roots, 4 receptions, 73 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. From Wauseon side of things, quarterback Cale Albright, 4 of 11, 49 passing yards, 18 carries for 67 rushing yards. And running back Azarion Hicks, 9 carries, 37 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. So guys, thoughts on this big matchup here between Wauseon and Evergreen?
It's a heck of a win for Evergreen. Starting the season, 4-0. That's just they got things rolling up there and doing a nice job, and beating Wauseon's it's a good win for them.
Yeah, I think it's the first time they beat Wauseon in a long time, from my understanding.
Did they beat Wauseon last year? Or no,
that I don't
remember.
I think it's been a while, but I think the experience for Bryce Bolger probably helped Evergreen here, because this is one of those games going into it. I think we all thought that Evergreen would be the clear-cut winner, and it was 7-7 late in the game. Another big game by Eisel and Reitz. But Wauseon's one of those teams, you don't know what you're going to get each Friday night. Yeah. Play Fairview tough, play Evergreen tough. It's what Wauseon team's going to show up on Friday night. But in the end, a huge win by Evergreen to keep them 4-0.
Yeah, and Will Roots had a nice catch from Bryce Bolger along the sidelines late in the fourth quarter that ended up sealing the game. It was a contested catch, pretty nice catch between 2 Wauseon defenders that really helped seal things for the Vikings. But yeah, Evergreen is rolling right now, 4-0. Things are looking good for them, and looking to be a contender at the top of the NWOAL this season. Let's look at the next game. Lipsick at Pandora Gilboa, and this was another tight game too. Lipsick ended up winning this one 12-7. At the half, Pandora Gilboa was up 7-6. Total offense, Lipsick had 315 yards, 262 passing with 54 rushing. Pandora Gilboa, 313 yards, 164 rushing with 149 passing. Turnovers, Lipsick had 2 fumbles. And this was submitted through us. Through a fan. Lipsick was actually down 7-6 with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It was 4th and 10 at their own 19-yard line, and Lipsick went for it. Jeez. I showed Tony this play earlier. Pretty incredible. But Marcus Williams made a diving snag to keep the drive alive, and later Lipsick scored to take the lead and head home with the win. And, quarterback Mark Kirkendall was under all sorts of pressure when he threw it up, and Marcus made the diving catch to get it in the huge first down. And if he doesn't make that catch, I don't know that Lipsick ends up going to win this game. Yeah. So
having more than 19
and he had said one of the best plays that he had personally ever seen, and he's seen it from all angles and what was at stake, and being against a rival opponent and being an underdog by 2 scores, that was huge. And just real quick, just giving him a shout out. That was from Rick Moyer. So we appreciate you sending that in, Rick. Some top players from Lipsick, quarterback Mark Kirkendall was 9-17, good for 53%, 262 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. Wide receiver Avery Paris had himself a night, 4 receptions, 190 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. And running back Marcus Williams, 11 carries, 27 rushing yards. He had 2 receptions for 62 receiving yards. From Pandora Gilboa, running back Ben Burkholder, 28 carries, 106 rushing yards with 1 rushing touchdown. And quarterback Corey Gerton, 15-27 for 149 passing yards. So, guys, thoughts on the Lipsick and Pandora Gilboa game?
We talked a little bit before we got started. Logan, how does Avery Paris have 4 receptions for 190 yards and only end up with
I know
one
you think
touchdown?
he'd score a few more times than just one in the end zone.
Gee whiz, but no, it's a good win from Lipsick, and if they went for it from their own 19-yard line in the fourth quarter, I mean, man, oh man, that coach has got some courage. You know what I mean? That's or everybody in the stands at times going, oh, he's stupid. What's he doing? What are we doing? But you know what? Sometimes you just got to put the ball in your playmakers' hands and see if they can make a play, and it worked out for him. So now you look like a hero for going for it, right?
Yeah, Lipsick found a way to win. Like the explosive offense had a lot of good numbers, just couldn't get any points on the board. It didn't seem like until late. But yeah, you have Paris and Marquise Williams. It seems like every week we're talking about this kid doing something to help Lipsick win. But Kirkendall 262 again, quality win, but over a very good Pandora Gilboa team.
Yeah. And this is a Pandora Gilboa team that has been very competitive throughout the year. They beat Columbus Grove in the first game of the season, came back and won. So definitely a solid team with some good athletes from Pandora Gilboa. But Lipsick, man, they just continue to roll. They've got a lot of good athletes, and we know that offense can score in a hurry, but this one ended up turning to be a defensive battle. But yeah, Keith, like you said, even with Marquise Williams, stats didn't necessarily pop off the paper this game, but that reception late in the game ended up paying off huge and helping contribute to a win. So even when Marquise isn't having a great game, you get guys like Avery Paris stepping up with 190 receiving yards and taking a large portion of those receiving yards. So Lipsick's definitely interesting to watch. I'm curious to see how they end up doing down the stretch with some other big games coming up. Next game, we're looking at Spencerville at Columbus Grove. And I feel like Grove had a little bit of vengeance going into this game. Ended up winning 48-0. At the half, Grove was up 48-0. Total offense for the game, Columbus Grove had 350 yards on just 27 plays, averaging 13 yards a play. They had 260 passing with 90 rushing, and Spencerville had 117 yards on 56 plays. They had 107 rushing yards and 10 passing yards. Turnovers, Columbus Grove had 0. Spencerville had 2 fumbles. Some top players from Columbus Grove, quarterback Landon Best was 11 of 15, 73%, 260 passing yards, 4 passing touchdown. By far, Landon's best performance of the year. So good to see him, commanding things well under center. Wide receiver Gavin Barraza, 6 receptions, 104 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Running back Brody McClure, 5 carries, 75 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. And Trevin Baxter, 3 receptions, 68 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. And I know those stats, aren't necessarily eye-popping, but saw this kid's highlights from this game. Unbelievable athlete. I just really appreciated how hard he plays the game, and maybe one of the most physical players in Northwest Ohio. He's a kid. His motor is just unreal. Speed, physicality, making plays all over the field, does whatever the team needs to get a win. He was at our kickoff show too, and I think I asked him, who's the most physical player on the team, and both the guys said Trevin Baxter. And man, it really shows. On special teams, ran down the field, busted the wedge. I mean, he knocked them over like bowling pins. Defense closing in at defensive back to the wide receiver and really laying the hit stick, and a couple of really nice shifty plays and showing off his speed, getting some jet sweeps. Just does it all. So really impressed out of Trevin Baxter. From Spencerville, some top players, running back Zach Loser, 6 carries, 48 rushing yards, and quarterback Grady Smith was 1 of 5 for 10 passing yards. So, guys, thoughts on the Spencerville and Columbus Grove game?
Yeah, I think this was a game Columbus Grove's been waiting for, offensively and defensively, just to explode. I mean, look at their offensive numbers, like you pointed out, Logan. 350 yards in 27 plays. That's amazing. Even more amazing, defensively, you held Spencerville to 117 yards on 56 plays. That's 2 yards a play, probably. But yeah, Coach Schaefer and the Bulldogs were just growling to get in the win column. Fantastic games by Landon Best, Gavin Barraza, and league play has started. So we'll see where the Bulldogs wind up. I mean, their conference is really tough this year. So we'll see where. I'm kind of interested to see how that conference plays out. But Columbus Grove on the board, kind of like Sonora with their first one of the season. So.
Yeah, I'm just impressed with Columbus Grove come back after they had a little bit of a rough start, come in and just put together a full game and just kind of pounded Spencerville.
Yeah, I mean, I think, going into this game, Columbus Grove suffered 3 losses leading into it. And, I'm sure that they were definitely angry and upset. And Spencerville, not having the greatest of years, but, Columbus Grove came out in this game and did exactly what they needed to do. They got up early, and at the half, we're up 48-0. And you really can't ask for much more. Just come out, just dominate this game in all aspects, come out with a win and move on to the next week. And, I think Columbus Grove, maybe this is the game that they finally turn the page, especially entering conference play. And they start fixing some of those mistakes they saw against a really tough non-conference schedule. So I think the Bulldogs, continue to make some noise here down the stretch. And I think they're only going to get better. I really do. And we're going to find out truly how good Columbus Grove is with, like Keith said, the Northwest Conference has some tough teams this year. So they're going to be battle tested later on in the season. But yeah, I just have to laugh because in the power rankings, people are dogging on Columbus Grove. And obviously these people don't follow Northwest Ohio football that closely because they're questioning why some 4-0 teams were above an 3-0 teams at the time were above an 0-3 team. And I'm like, if Columbus Grove and the athletes they have and the coaching staff they have and the non-conference schedule they played, then you'll realize why an 0-3 team is better than, some of these teams that play School of the Blind for their non-conference schedule. I mean, it's a night and day difference. So, definitely pretty self-explanatory there. So let's move on to the next game. Looking at Salina at Van Wert, and Salina ended up winning this one 38-37 in overtime. At the half, Salina was up 17-7. Total offense, Van Wert had 356 yards with 215 passing with 141 rushing. Salina had 406 yards with 306 rushing, 100 passing. Turnovers for the game, Van Wert had 2 with 1 interception, 1 fumble, and Salina had 1 fumble. In overtime, Van Wert scored first, but they ended up missing the extra point, and Salina would go down next possession to score the touchdown and kick the extra point for the win. So this game came down, into overtime. Pretty exciting finish. Some top players from Van Wert: quarterback Zach Crummy, 19-35 for 54%, 215 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. He did have an interception, but he had 1 rushing touchdown. Running back Xavier Kelly, he's another running back in the area too. Yep. There's a lot of good running backs in Northwest Ohio, and he continues to show out week in and week out. 18 carries, 145 rushing yards, 8.1 yards a carry with 3 rushing touchdowns. And he had 7 receptions, 78 receiving yards with 1 receiving touchdown for 4 total touchdowns for the game. And wide receiver Micah Cohen, 6 receptions for 96 receiving yards. So, guys, thoughts on the Salina at Van Wert game?
Just, with Van Wert, we've talked about this, probably 3 out of the 4 weeks, those extra points.
Yeah.
Defiance stuff, 2 of them to win games. And then here they missed an extra point and lost the game. So, we keep talking about those special teams, and those extra points after those touchdowns are huge at points in the game.
Yeah, for me, I think this is everything we thought this game would be. Back and forth, high scoring, and it came, as Coach said, it comes down to special teams play. Salina got on the board, first one of the year, but if you're in a opposition heading into the second half of the year and you see Van Wert on your schedule, I mean, Van Wert's no team to you're going to take easy. They could they're going to light up the scoreboard for 45 points a night on you. So even though they're 2-2, Van Wert's definitely a team to look out for probably second place in the WBL. Obviously, Wapak's probably finishing first, but
yeah, and even in this game, Van Wert shows that they can come back late in the second half. At the half they were down 17-7, so things not looking the greatest at halftime, but Coach Recker got things turned around and gave themselves a really good opportunity in overtime. But again, it just comes down to special teams and the little details that really add up. And how many times, again, we've seen from multiple schools. I think did Montpelier? I think they
went for 2.
Went for 2, and some other teams. Defiance went for 2. Napoleon went for 2, and a lot of different 2-point conversions that end up making a huge difference, or missed extra points. So, just shows how important having a quality kicker that's consistent is at the high school level.
Absolutely.
Last game is the Green Meadows Conference game. Paulding at Wayne Trace, rivalry game here. Paulding came away with a big 39-7 winning. Paulding at the half was up 21-7. Total offense, Paulding had 294 yards with 222 passing, 72 rushing. Wayne Trace had 149 yards, 136 rushing with 13 passing. Turnovers, Paulding had 0. Wayne Trace had 5, 2 interceptions and 3 fumbles. Some top players from Paulding. Quarterback Colt Hunt, 9 of 17, good for 53%. 222 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 28 rushing yards with 1 rushing touchdown, and 5 total touchdowns. And Cole, just want to make a note of this. In the GMC, everyone talks about, obviously, Will Zedike from Fairview. Owen Farrell gets a lot of talk from Tenora. Maddox Baker gets a lot of talk from Edgerton. But, man, Colt Hunt is really having himself, a good start to the season. I know Paulding non-conference schedule wasn't the strongest, but, again, kid's been consistent. He's got a lot of wide receivers on the outside edge, which we're going to get to their performances. But, he's one to reckon with one of the better quarterbacks in Northwest Ohio. So just doing a fantastic job there under center. Wide receiver defensive back Blake Roanhouse, 5 receptions, 109 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, and had an interception on defense. Wide receiver defensive back Jordan Mans, 2 receptions, 75 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown, 11 tackles with 1 interception on defense. And wide receiver linebacker / defensive back Jalen Mans, 2 receptions, 38 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Led the defense with 23 tackles. I couldn't believe that. That's pretty incredible. 1 forced fumble with 3 tackles for loss. And from Wayne Trace, running back Carter Baumley, 19 carries, 69 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Running back Lance Whitman, 4 carries for 45 rushing yards. So, guys, thoughts on the Paulding at Wayne Trace game?
Well, I'm going to start off and go right to where AJ always talks about, the turnovers. At Wayne Trace, they've had 5 turnovers. I mean, gee whiz. Can't turn the ball over 5 times.
Always a lot of turnovers. It doesn't matter if it's from Wayne Trace or the opponent. There's always a lot of turnovers over there in Raiderland.
It must be from that smoke where they cook their burgers underneath that HUD. I don't know,
or the flashing red lights.
Something.
But I tell you what, there's always a bunch of turnovers over there, and AJ always talks about it. But yeah, what a game from Paulding. Come out the conference game there and just kind of put it to Wayne Trace in that rivalry game.
And Paulding's just a few years removed where Wayne Trace dominated this game for years and years, a long time. And now the tides have turned where Paulding's really taken control of things over the last handful of years.
My question is more on the defensive side for Jalen Mans with those 23 tackles. Now, he's not the biggest dude. Is he coming up making all them tackles from the secondary spot?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what position he plays. Maybe somebody from Paulding can help us out there, but 23 tackles, regardless of position, that's a hell of a night.
Yeah, it looks like he plays maybe a dual role, like a monster back, defensive
like
back,
a nickel back.
Yeah,
he's kind of that hybrid player. I think that's what he is. We'll be seeing him in the upcoming weeks, but I think they kind of play him in that role and just put him in a position where he can just go make play after play. And
tell you what, they're going to have to get a body on him.
Good Lord, no doubt.
23 tackles in one game is a heck of a lot of tackles.
Yeah, that's going to be one of those where Coach H is going to be looking at that when Sonora goes to play him, like, hey, we're going to get a body on him somehow.
To finish my part up, a heck of a game offensively by Paulding. I mean, they're one of the top 3 scoring teams in the GMC, if not the area. I think their meat of their schedule is just starting. I think they play Ayersville this week, but that's not somebody to take lightly. Like Ayersville went toe-to-toe with Fairview at least in the first half last week. So we'll see this Friday night. So, but yeah, quality win for Paulding in a huge rivalry game.
Yeah, and I know in this game, Paulding didn't run the ball that much for, 72 rushing yards. Right. But, they have a very reliable back in Avery Cooper as well that's more than capable of running the football. So that's just another aspect to their offense. But, man, that's got to be tough scheming for Paulding when you have that much depth. I said before, Fairview and Paulding have the most depth, definitely in the GMC in terms of skill positions. But, you could honestly throw it out there for Northwest Ohio as well. You got guys like Blake Roanhouse, Jordan Mans, and Jalen Mans. Mm-hmm. They're all kind of clones of each other, about 6'2", 6'1", $180, $190 or so. And man, they are just athletic as all get out. But who do you put your top defensive back on? And especially if a lot of defensive backs in Northwest Ohio are, 5'8", 5'9", you don't really have the height there. And if you want to try to bracket one of those guys and, have extra help from the safety, then they're just going to burn you and throw it to the other guy. Right. So it's tough to scheme for. So Paulding's going to give some teams some fits, and, we're excited to see how conference play plays out later on. All right, we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. BSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC.
a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan, to get started. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Fitzenreiter HVAC, keeping Northwest Ohio comfortable since 1955. Whether it's scorching summer heat or bitter winter cold, Fitzenreiter has your back with expert heating, cooling, and indoor air quality solutions for your residential and commercial needs. Need fast, reliable service? Call the local pros you can trust. Fitzenreiter HVAC. Give them a call today at 419-784-0828 or visit fitzenreiterhvac.com for more info. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at NWOBball.com.
Welcome back to the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. Titan Sports offers revolutionary wearable GPS technology for high school football and strength and conditioning programs, giving you all the metrics to get the most out of your athlete. So we thank them for sponsoring this segment, and make sure you continue to submit those plays each week. Yep. We have a lot of great plays, and just a great way to showcase some of the top talent and plays in Northwest Ohio. And who knows, maybe a college coach will get a glimpse of this and maybe help you get recruited as well, because we've had stories that said it's helped kids get recruited. So just another benefit of submitting them in. Well, this week we'll start. We had numerous great plays, so we're going to take a look at some of the honorable mention selections first from the Northwest Ohio area. Check them out right now. As I always say, there can only be one, but this week there's an exception, and there's going to be two because we could not decide. So this week's Titan Sports Play of the Week is going to Liberty Center's offense and Lipsick's Mark Kirkendall at quarterback to Marquise Williams at wide receiver. So with Liberty Center, they line up in an A11 formation with Ethan Gray at center, who snaps it to Moeller laterally. He doesn't even snap it between his legs, who then flips it to Kreinbrink at quarterback, who then options it to Garrison Cruz, who then throws like a 30-yard bomb to Ethan Gray in the end zone. And actually, for that play, I went back and watched it again. I said, no kidding. I didn't realize they ended up connecting Ethan Gray. He's the guy that snapped it and ended up sneaking out and was the one that caught it in the end zone. Incredible. I mean, literally, I sent it to these guys, and Keith's like, that's backyard football right there. That's exactly what it was. And so for that, in the sense of the trick play, pretty impressive. Yep. On the flip side, for Lipsick and Mark Kirkendall and Marquise Williams came up with a huge diving reception on 4th and 10 from their own 19 with 6 minutes to go. And so this reception was a little bit more meaningful, which ended up leading to the game-winning touchdown. So both are unique and deserving in their own way. So check these plays out right now.
Bunch of big dudes.
On the left side. See what trickeration we're doing
here. We
here.
Go. Little option play.
Kreinbrink could option, and he does. Gary throws. He's got him.
Wow.
He's got Gray in the end zone for a touchdown. What a play that was, boys.
Who drew that one up? That was like a swinging gate.
So you guys had an opportunity to see both these plays, from Lipsick, from Liberty Center. Let's start with Liberty Center. What were your guys' thoughts on that play?
Oh, just like he said, backyard football is it took you a minute. You had to watch it 2 or 3 times to kind of catch everything that happened there with him coming in motion and then snapping the ball, like you said, laterally to him as he's coming in motion. Then he immediately catches it and pitches it to Kreinbrink, and then Kreinbrink then runs the option and gives it to, it was just kind of one of those things. Like there's so much kind of going on. I think it was, like Swanton was kind of caught like, what are we doing? Like,
almost like, did they just run that against us?
Yeah, it was like pretty neat play though. That's one of those things that you ran it, and would you ever see that in a real game? You never know. Never know.
I just wonder how many times they practice that, because
that's what I
that
want to
takes
know.
a lot of precision. Everything has to go right for that to happen, and it's just not a pitch and a throw. It's just. And how many times have you seen the center actually be the eligible receiver? So the officials have to be like, is he even eligible?
Yeah,
like, what are we doing here? But
that's one of those you talk about before the game. They
right,
definitely got to tell the officials they're going to do that.
I'm sure he did. He had to. But on the flip side, Marquise Williams, we seem to talk about this kid every single Tuesday on our podcast. Play after play after play after play. And this was 4th down from your own 19, halfway through the 4th quarter, you're losing, and he comes up with a catch like that.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely spectacular. And as we said, if there's not a college look at this kid yet, you're missing out, because he is just so athletic and he's just a playmaker.
One of the most electric players in the area.
Huge moments.
Yeah, it wasn't a great throw. Kirkendall was off a little bit, so he had to lay out for it and to come up with that catch. I mean, that won the game. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That's what won the game for him, because if they don't, they got the ball to 19, then
it's over.
The game's pretty much over at that point. So
even from Kirkendall, I mean, he was getting pressured,
Yeah.
and I mean, he had 2 or 3 guys coming after him, and he made that throw on the run. And it wasn't the greatest of balls, but it gave an opportunity for Williams to come up with it, and he absolutely laid out for that football. Yeah. So. Excellent play. And like you said, Keith, with Williams, 2 touchdown returns on kickoff returns. And, every single week we're getting stuff from this kid. So, unbelievable athlete, and, he's an electric spark to that entire team. So can make a play at any time. So thanks again to Titan Sports for sponsoring the play of the week. A couple good ones there. We are on to player of the week from week 4. And again, a lot of great performances. We'll roll through the list here, give everyone who made the player of the week list, and then each guy will kind of talk about who had their eye for potential player of the week. Starting off, Archbold quarterback Maddox Pinner, Delta running back Marcus Nagel, Lipsick wide receiver Avery Paris, Columbus Grove quarterback Landon Best, Trevin Baxter, Columbus Grove, Van Wert running back Xavier Kelly, Paulding quarterback Colt Hunt, Paulding wide receiver defensive back Blake Roanhouse, Paulding wide receiver defensive back Jordan Mans, Paulding wide receiver linebacker defensive back Jalen Mans. A lot of Paulding kids. I had to throw them all in there. They're all worthy of a mention. Edgerton quarterback Maddox Baker, and Edgerton wide receiver Parker Eldon, and Fairview quarterback Will Zedike. So guys, did a little bit of conversation before, but we ended up selecting ours. But who was maybe a player that you thought would have been worthy of player of the week?
For me, which I'll apologize to the end of the season for me doubting Edgerton and Coach Flagel. But my player of the week, Maddox Baker, 14-19, 243 passing yards, 6 passing touchdowns against Antwerp. So my name in the hat would be Maddox Baker for Edgerton.
And for me, I'm going with Paulding quarterback Colt Hunt. 222 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and he ran for a touchdown. So he had 5 total touchdowns in a rivalry game. I mean, I know Wayne Trace isn't as strong as they normally are, but still, that's a pretty impressive outing.
Sure is.
And after some discussion, we ended up going with a guy who really was about as efficient as you could get from the quarterback position, and really, made the big difference in coming up with a big conference win on the road. And that's going to go to Archbold quarterback Maddox Pinter. Again, when you throw the ball for 81% completion percentage, 22 of 27. So it's not like he was throwing 5 of 6 or 6 of 7. I mean, he threw the ball quite a bit. 253 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. And we got a chance to watch him play against Sonora a couple weeks ago. Very impressed with this kid. He's very poised in the pocket, continues to make big plays, and he's going to be a big factor down the stretch for why Archbold has a lot of success. So week 4, BSN Sports Player of the Week is going to go to Maddox Pinner from Archbold. The Player of the Week is going to receive NWO Sports gear courtesy of BSN Sports. So we just want to thank sales rep Jim Garris and Rob Held again for being great supporters of coverage for athletics in Northwest Ohio. We are on to Week 5 power rankings here. And I don't know if you guys follow it when I post it on social media, but there's a lot of discussion on these and pretty incredible. Each week there's like 50 or 60,000 views on just Facebook for these power rankings. So just to remind everyone, these are not just based on wins and losses because, like we discussed earlier with Columbus Grove, they play a tougher non-conference schedule. Strength of schedule is definitely better than a lot of other teams. But wins and losses aren't everything. Obviously, wins help you move up, but there's strength of schedule, quality of wins, quality of losses. There's a lot of factors into it. So we're going to start with things at number 26, work our way down, and these guys will kind of comment on the rankings here. Coming in at number 26 is Swanton, 25 North Central, 24 Hilltop, 23 Ayersville, 22 Wayne Trace, 21 Hicksville, 20 Antwerp, and we'll stop there.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, for me, concerning is I think Coach brought up last week. You have 3 GMC teams on this list.
Four.
Actually, 4. Correct.
Antwerp, Hicksville, Wayne Trace.
Yeah, the Ayersville kind of blended in like their numbers on their uniforms. I couldn't see it.
That's very true.
Yeah, 4. But yeah, it looks perfect to me.
Coming in at 19 is Bryan, 18 Eden, 17 Montpelier, 16 Wauseon, 15 Ottawa Glandorf.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where Eden people would be barking a little bit, but
let's go to 14 Tenora, 13 Edgerton, 12 Paulding, 11 Columbus Grove, and we'll save the top 10.
As long as Paulding and Edgerton keep winning, they're going to climb. That's.
I mean, Edgerton moved up 3 spots.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And I think, again, it goes to strength of schedule. And
absolutely,
for the most part, Paulding and Edgerton have not played the most difficult of teams to start. But, yeah, if you continue to win games, you're going to continue to move up. Yep. It will. And that's the thing. Things work themselves out as the season goes on. And, if you're truly that good, you'll beat the better teams down the road here. Yep. So. Coming in at number 10 is Delta, number 9 Evergreen, number 8 Lipsick, number 7 Defiance, number 6 Napoleon. Will save the top 5. This is where it gets a little tricky.
Yes.
How did Evergreen move down? I'm going to be that person. How did Evergreen move down after a win?
With some of the teams that lost, and Lipsick. Gotcha. Lipsick beat a solid Pandora Gilboa team, which is better than an 0-4 Wauseon team. So that's kind of how I looked at that.
Okay. Yep. And for me, I'm sorry. Logan.
Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, for me, Napoleon 2-2. That's a team to keep an eye on down the stretch. I mean, if you got a healthy George Akers and you got 2 running backs, and right now they're at 6, they could climb into the top 4 by season's end.
And I know Napoleon jumped Defiance here, but they beat a solid Clay team. Yep. And Napoleon really does have some really good athletes. And like you said, Keith, if they get Eggers back, their defense is playing phenomenal right now. Their offense is rolling. I think they're finding an identity running the football and could have one of the best 1-2 back punches in Northwest Ohio.
And here's what's going to happen. 6 Napoleon, 7 Defiance. Defiance beat Napoleon. How is Napoleon ranked ahead of Defiance? Defiance just got smoked by St. Mary's. Napoleon, huge quality win over Clay, a very good Clay team.
Yeah.
And
no quarterback that's getting looks from
our big, huge schools. Right. So, yeah, that just to, kind of cover that in a nutshell, because I know how it works.
Yes, I do too. And Napoleon, I know they lost against Defiance, but they could have very well won it on that 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Yep. So, I mean, it's not like Napoleon was that far off of beating Defiance.
And Defiance, as you say that, Logan, not to prolong this anymore, but Defiance is 2-point conversions away from being 0-4.
Yeah, they are. So because against Ottawa Glandorf as well.
Yep.
Let's break down the top 5. Coming in at 5 is Van Wert, 4 Archbold, 3 Fairview, 2 Patrick Henry, and again, number 1 Liberty Center. And I think Liberty Center has been number 1 for probably the last, 2 years. Yeah, something like that.
Boy, oh boy.
Thoughts on the top 5?
There's just those are fine. I don't think there's anything wrong there. Maybe Van Wert after the loss this past week, but Liberty Center, Patrick Henry, Fairview, I think they're going to stay at the top unless somebody knocks them off.
Yep. Yeah, I think Archbold's very deserving of jumping up to 4. They're playing really good football. They beat Delta, and their only loss comes to a St. Henry team, and that was only by, a score or so. And St. Henry took Marion Local down to the final wire and had an opportunity, to beat them. So, Archbold is looking really, really solid right now. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with everyone's favorite, the Hot Takes, presented by BSN Sports.
Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at batandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Nestled in the heart of Sherwood, Ohio, Crystal Fountain Park invites you to say I do in a place where history whispers around every corner. Surrounded by 28 acres of woods, meadows, illuminated trails, outdoor chapels, a tranquil reflection pond, and fire pit lounges. Whether planning a wedding, rehearsal dinner, or elegant gathering, Crystal Fountain Park blends historic elegance with modern flexibility and heartfelt service. Visit crystalfountainpark.com or call 419-576-1910 today to book your unforgettable moment.
RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer.
Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center, voted first place in the Crescent News Readers' Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally.
Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on tenorarams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well. We are back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we're on to the Hot Takes presented by BSN Sports. Again, these are fan submitted. Continue to submit them. I usually post on Sunday or Monday to get some thoughts and what you guys want to hear us talk about. And got a couple good ones this week. So first off, we're going to start with the NWOAL is becoming running back you. If you're building a playoff team right now and can only take one of these backs, who gives you the best shot? Are you riding with the lightning bolt and Cal Schrader from Patrick Henry, or the Swiss Army knife Ryder Ryan from Archbold, the bruiser Garrison Cruz from Liberty Center, or the patient tactician and youngin and Marcus Nagel from Delta? Okay. Ranking the NWL for rushing yards. #1 right now is Archbold running back Ryder Ryan. He's got 520 rushing yards on 52 carries, averaging 10 yards a carry, 6 rushing touchdowns. 2 is Liberty Center's Garrison Cruz, 31 carries, 496 rushing yards, good for 16 yards a carry with 9 rushing touchdowns. Delta, Marcus Nagel, 73 carries, 458 rushing yards, good for 6.3 yards a carry with 9 rushing touchdowns. And 4th is Patrick Henry, Cal Schrader, 43 carries, 370 rushing yards, good for 8.6 yards a carry and 9 rushing touchdowns. Who wants to start this one off?
I'll go. You look at these and, everybody's going to talk about Liberty Center and talk about Garrison Cruz, 31 carries, 496 yards, probably hasn't played a full game yet.
Correct.
Probably hasn't played more than 2 quarters.
A half.
Or much more than 2 quarters in any of these games. And everybody's going to talk about their offensive line is dominant, blah, 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 blah. But the kid's a beast. He's a beast. I mean, he's still ran for 496 yards. He's averaging 16 yards a carry. And I know everybody wants to talk about their offensive line. So, do you take Ryder Ryan and put him behind Liberty Center's offensive line? Is he going to turn out the same numbers as?
I think for this, I want to throw in the asterisk here. Let's say all these backs have Liberty Center's offensive line. I think we can kind of agree that the most complete, most dominant offensive line in the conference is Liberty Center. So let's say all these running backs run behind Liberty Center's offensive line. Still taking Cruz?
I'm still taking Cruz because if you put Cruz in there with 52 carries or a full 73 carries like Nagel, he's going to have 1,000 yards. I mean, he really is. You double his carries. He's got 500 yards on 31 carries. You give him 62 carries, you figured he's going to be at 1,000 yards. And it's just the way I look at it.
I agree with everything you said, Coach. I mean, he's just a man among boys at the high school level. I mean, when we saw him as a freshman, it's like, this kid's a freshman. He has the body of probably a college freshman sophomore at the time.
He's like 6'2", 215,
yes,
220-ish.
Yes, and he
That's
is
a big back.
solid. But boy, like, I don't ever think this. I mean, all these backs are fantastic. Don't get me wrong. You cannot go wrong with any one of these. But if you have to choose one behind the LC line, I mean, Garrison Cruz is a clear cut ahead, head and shoulders above everybody else. But no disrespect for Ryder Ryan's fantastic.
We saw Ryder Ryan behind LC's offensive line. He can turn out 1,000 yards too.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's just
1,500 easily
because he's elusive and he's fast and he's quick and you put him back there. I mean, tell you what. Ryder Ryan and Garrison Cruz would be a great 1-2 punch in your backfield.
Even Cal Schrader. We got a chance to see Patrick Henry play last year. They played Hopewell Loudon at Donnell Stadium in Finley, and he's a little lightning bolt. You know, he gets a little hole open, and man, he's off to the races. But yeah, I think any of these backs you put behind Liberty Center's line are going to do phenomenal. But Marcus Nagel is up and coming. You know, he's just a sophomore, so he's still continuing to develop. He's getting a lot of carries from Delta. We know that lead back in Delta is going to get more carries than anyone else in the league. But he's having a terrific start. Cal Schrader for Patrick Henry, again, is very solid. Ryder Ryan, I was very impressed. Last year he had a great season. This year, we saw the game against Sonora, busted off a couple long runs. I think like a 70, 80 yard
89 yarder
and then like
was
another
one.
like 50 or 60 yard run.
He had like 240, I think, against Sonora.
Yeah, very, very capable back. And all of these backs are solid, but I'm going to have to agree with you guys. I think if I'm going to take one, it's going to be Garrison Cruz. His vision, his size, his physicality, his speed too, for as big as he is, he's not a slow back. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of going with what Coach said. Like, just to say you take Garrison Cruz and put him on Archibald, he's still going to get 1,500 yards.
Yards after contact. I mean, with his size and the way he powers through and keeps his legs moving, he's going to get an additional 2-3 yards. I feel like every time, no matter who the offensive line is.
You could be any of these teams' offensive line. Garrison Cruz is still going to lead the league in rushing, I think. So.
Yeah, and one thing too, I want to look up real quick too. Talk about the NWOAL being running back U. I got to look this up real quick. So the only exception is Archibald because Ryder Ryan's the lead and pretty much the sole back there. But all of these other teams, they were ranked. 1 is Ryder Ryan from Archibald, 2 Liberty Center Garrison Cruz, 3 Marcus Nagel, 4 Patrick Henry, Cal Schrader. You know who's at number 5?
Thomas Moeller
from Liberty Center. Who number 6 is Jaden Rudder from Patrick Henry. And who number 7 is Vincent Martinez from Delta.
Wow.
So literally these teams outside of Archibald have all the top rushers in the conference. So which is incredible.
Monsters. Yep.
So yeah, I agree. Cruz is very, very impressive. Just a junior. He's going to continue to develop. But I believe all these guys are juniors or younger, too.
I think so.
I think Schrader's a junior, Nagel's a sophomore, Cruz is a junior, and Ryder Ryan's a junior. So can you imagine what these guys are going to look like next year with another year to develop?
And we saw Ryder develop very well this past year as well. So,
yeah it's going to be exciting. So, I would have to agree, though, the NWOAL is becoming running back U. That's for sure. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. A little bit different change of pace. And this one was sent in. Let's talk about if youth football should be competitive or should it be strictly fundamentally based? And how do youth programs benefit play at the junior high and high school levels? So a couple different arguments that kind of came up for both, but competitive approach, the game speed learning, real scoreboards, standings, and to teach the kids how to handle pressure in game situations, kind of with a competitive aspect. There's some motivation and accountability. Competing for a title can drive effort and, practice and your commitment to team goals. It also gives an early evaluation for some coaches to get a clearer picture, of maybe where the athletes fit best for their strengths, positions before they get to junior high, things like that. On the flip side, for some fundamentals first approach, you're really developing those skills, proper tackling, your footwork, your IQ, just easier to teach without the distraction of, chasing all those trophies. Safety is another one, reducing high contact with the, win at all costs type of situation. That can limit some injuries and burnout, which we know is definitely happening.
Yeah.
Kids are getting burnt out of sports. And then inclusivity. More kids tend to stay involved when there's less pressure and more emphasis on learning. So, what are your guys' thoughts? Tony, you coached junior high for a long time. Why don't you start first? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm probably going to get my butt kicked for this, but if you've got the right coaches in place in your youth football program, you're doing both of these things.
100%.
That's the problem. You either have coaches who want to win at all costs, or you have coaches who just want to teach fundamentals, and that's the problem. And if you've got that going on, if you're the high school coach and you've got that going on in your youth programs, you need to get down there and jerk a knot in somebody's butt, because you need to have the standings. You need to be competitive so kids learn, like you said, stress situations. And I'm tired of this, let's placate everybody. We're not going to play for a score. Oh, everybody wins. No. You need to. Life's not like that. Life is not like that.
I agree. I just about to say that.
But you also have to have people who are going to teach the fundamentals and not just give it to Johnny football over here, who's the fastest kid on the team, and let him run for a touchdown every single time. You're not teaching anybody anything.
Right.
So you need to have the right coaches in place. And if you don't, then you need to get them out of there and get the right people in place.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you need to pick one or the other. I think there's a fine balance between both, because like you said, I understand, kids are getting burnt out, but at the same time, you got to learn to flip the switch. You got to coach them up and kind of be hard on them, but there's times you need to ease up and really, teach them those fundamental skills and break things down. But
we have some fun.
You want to have some fun, and and winning's fun too. It's not fun to lose games, or like you said, who wants to go out there and play and they don't even have a scoreboard up.
What's the purpose of playing? And that would make it like you mentioned, that make it hard to practice, because there's no accountability at all. Just to go out there and you have kids running around. That's what you do at 5-year-olds,
Right. But Keith, what are your thoughts?
Oh, that's a very good point by both yous. I think we talked about this last year. I think Logan brought it up. Same topic. The MAC, do they not play tackle football until junior high?
Yeah.
So
we're starting that.
Yeah. I'm with what both you guys on this. Fundamentals. Yeah. It's nice to go out there, screw around, and have fun, but you still have to teach fundamentals at the young age, because if you're going to continue to play football throughout high school, you got to learn how to tackle, like a proper way to tackle. You just don't go in there ramming your head in there. You got to, obviously you can get seriously injured.
Right.
So technique, tackle, attention to detail, just small things like that at the youth level, I think can be very good for high school, and even like just life lessons more than anything, like how to be on time, just be fundamentally sound,
how to be held accountable,
how accountability. Yeah. Don't jump off sides. You jump off sides, you run to the fence and back.
Right.
I think nowadays you don't ever hardly see that anymore. Back in the day when you guys were around, and AJ, you did something in practice once or twice, you're probably running like 4 gassers,
Yeah, absolutely.
And half the kids nowadays don't even know what a gasser is, I'm assuming. Yeah. Gasser, what's that? But both sides, I get both sides, but just teach the kids how to play the game and have fun. And the thing is, the talented kids are out there having fun, and say you have a younger kid that's in 5th or 6th grade, and now they see some of their friends out there joining, having fun. So, hey, I want to go do that too. So now you're helping them out for future. Maybe they didn't care for football, but now they see their friends out there. Hey, I want to go play football. And, so now you have more kids for your program. I think the younger you teach the kids and the more involvement you have with your high school coach, and as Coach said very well, a coach that knows what he's doing is the key to all this.
Yep.
He can mix the fun and everything else involved in this.
And I want to go, that's
exactly 50-50 split.
That's the point I wanted to go back to. I think you hit it on the money is, a coach that can do it both. And if the coach is not doing it correctly, like if the coach is out there and all they're doing is focusing on winning at a young age, and they're not teaching the fundamentals and, maybe getting some kids in to develop, I think you got to yank them and get them out of there, because, going into the second part of this hot take is, how do youth programs benefit play at the junior high and high school level? Youth programs are the heart and soul of these programs.
Right.
If you don't have a quality youth program where, kids are learning fundamentals, they're beginning to develop, motivation and what it takes to come up with a win and accountability and all those things, you don't have successful varsity programs. And I just really like that comment because I think you really do. You have to have the right people in the positions. And, I'm going to say it too, your youth coaches throughout, growing up are just as important as the varsity coaches. Because, without them and without their time and dedication and their knowledge, you would not have a successful varsity program. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, it's a time. I mean, it's a tough 50-50 split. You want to win if you're the coach and you got some good kids on your team. I want to win as much as possible. But hey, if I got little Johnny down here that's still young and I go watch him on a Saturday morning and he doesn't even play, what's he learning?
Right.
Like he needs somebody to teach him what to do. Like maybe he doesn't have a family that likes football. Maybe he doesn't know the terminology, but he wants to go out there to have fun and hang with his friends. So it's game day. You got your grandma, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister there, and then he sits on the sideline the whole time. What's that teaching him? Hey, next year comes around, what's he going to be doing? Right. He ain't going to be going out playing football. Right. What's the point of me playing football if I'm not going to get to play? But, yeah, you guys nailed it perfectly.
There's always a way to get a kid in the game.
Always.
Yes.
And kind of going off this topic, there's a big trend right now and trying to find out what is the right answer for youth programs in terms of like tackle football and the tackle bar flag football kind of conversation. Yep. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Because I personally, you have so many different ends of the spectrum. You have literally like flag football, the tackle bar, and then you have like not so much in Northwest Ohio, but down in Texas, you have the Little Tykes football where they're starting at like second or third grade. Right. Most programs around here are like fifth and sixth.
Yeah.
But I just want to hear your guys' thoughts. I mean, I can start first, but
go ahead.
I really like, I think fifth and sixth grade is the right area to start tackle football. I mean, I can remember as a kid how excited I was to make that transition at that age from, flag football to tackle football and start learning the fundamentals. And I just don't know with like the tackle bar thing that's going around. Yeah, it's supposed to teach you to wrap up and stuff, but you're only doing half of it. You're not actually wrapping the kids up. You're not taking them down. And I get it. Like you're trying to protect kids from, head trauma, concussions, things like that. But at that age, like I don't know if it's as much of a concern because the game is played at a slower pace. Kids are thinking too much. They're not coming up. You're not seeing wide receivers run slant routes in 5th and 6th grade football and get killed by the safety running across the middle. You're not seeing that in 5th and 6th grade football. But I've always liked the 5th and 6th grade, tackle football sense. And I just don't know if the kids, I think we've talked about it before too. Like by the time they get to junior high and they start tackling, then the junior high, I feel like it almost sets you behind a little bit because then junior high coaches have to deal with teaching them how to properly wrap up and tackle. And, I don't know. Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts? That's kind of my thoughts on the whole situation.
I don't really have much to add on that, Logan. I'm kind of with you on that. If you're going to play tackle football in high school, then I think the earlier you start, the better. But again, it's all about fundamentals and teaching them the right way.
Correct.
We teach face mask on the football. We don't want your head down. Nope. I want you to put your face mask right on the football. If you're looking at that football, you're going to find it. And, I coached a team quite a few years back, and when I got the kids in 7th grade, they didn't even know what a freaking first down was. I'm not even joking.
No,
not even joking. That's a true story. They didn't even know what a first down was. I had to literally break it down and tell them kids didn't even know what a first down was, and they thought they got 10 plays to get 10 yards. I'm like, well, that'd make the game a lot easier. But yeah, so once we broke it down and they started understanding it, I didn't lose another game the rest of the season. But you got to break it down and explain those fundamentals.
I think today's era is so much different than when all of us grew up. Like, during the summer, we were outside doing, we'd play baseball in the morning. We'd go shoot baskets at lunch, football. We'd be out in the yard playing tackle football like for years
tackle
and years
football,
and
no
years.
Pads in the backyard.
Exactly.
Getting undercut and landing on your shoulder.
Yeah, Mr. Injury over here, he can testament to that. But we had so much fun back in the day just playing all them sports outside during the summer. And now I don't ever see kids outside. Maybe I'm driving around to the wrong neighborhoods. I don't know.
Well, the thing
there's just nobody outside playing. And I think that's where you learn.
Yeah, AJ and I talked about that. When you watch kids, like for me as a coach, when I was coaching football, watching kids get tackled and watching kids' heads whip when they hit the ground. They don't know how to fall. These kids, they don't play outside, so they've never been
right.
tackled. They don't play rough. Everybody's inside playing video games, so they have no idea how to take a fall. So when they take a fall, they hit the ground, the head whips and bangs off the ground pretty hard, and well, now they got a concussion.
Yep.
And it's probably true. Do they have a concussion? Don't they have a concussion? I don't know. To me, sometimes you bang your head off the ground, you're going to get a headache. It's not necessarily a concussion, but everybody's like, oh, it's a concussion. But kids just don't know how to fall. They don't have the neck strength that that develops from playing outside and roughhousing and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a great hot take. I really do. And that's a hot take that's been going around, not just us, for everyone in the area. They're trying to figure out what the correct answer is to, drive up participation in numbers for programs and, really develop their varsity programs. And again, I don't know that there's necessarily a right or wrong answer at this time. And I think that's what everyone's trying to figure out. And, I know in Northwest Ohio, I know a lot of teams they're trying to model it off Marion local because, if you're going to do it and follow, a team in the area, why wouldn't you do Marion local? They've got 14 state championships and they have a current 60-plus game and the longest win streak in the United States of America right now in high school football. So whatever they're doing is working. So a lot of teams in the area are trying to model, youth programs off them. So pretty interesting, but everyone's got their own opinions, but that's why we like to discuss them. It's good to have these discussions.
Yeah, we could talk about this for another hour.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, let's move on to the next hot take. This one's pretty simple, but it's definitely an interesting one. And someone submitted, what 4-0 team is overrated and what 0-4 team is underrated? And 4-0 teams that we have in our coverage area: Liberty Center, Patrick Henry, Fairview, Lipsick, Evergreen, Paulding, and Edgerton. And the 0-4 teams that we have in our coverage area are Ottawa Glandorf, Wauseon, Wayne Trace, Ayersville, Hilltop, and Swanton.
Hey, I'm going to throw out a challenge, guys. On the count of 3, we're all going to say the 4-0 team that's overrated. We're all going to say it at the exact same time.
Well, let me give me a second because I want to look this over real quick. We can do that.
Boy, this is going to be tough. We have two in mind.
This is tough.
Overrated 4-0 team. These are all really good 4-0 teams, so please don't take any. Oh my goodness gracious, that's good. That's a good idea.
I like that, Tony. All right, I think I got my 4-0 team. Do you guys have your 4-0 team?
You ready, Keith?
And then we'll explain why.
Yeah,
and then we'll go into 0-4.
Boy, wow.
You got it.
It's tough.
It is tough. I mean, okay, yeah, go ahead. I'm
All right.
I'm probably ready, but it's probably going to be the wrong answer.
You want to count
Go
down?
ahead, count it down.
3, 2, 1. Paulding.
Evergreen.
Logan and I are on the same page.
You said Paulding too?
Yeah.
And you said Evergreen?
I said Evergreen.
Yeah.
I can kick things off with Paulding.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily credit to Paulding. They are 4-0, but it's what we've been talking about is they haven't played a big game yet. They haven't been battle tested or challenged. And I think, until that point, which, is coming up here sooner than later, when they get into some tougher teams in the conference play, your Fairviews, your Tenoras, even Edgerton. I think Paulding is going to be challenged. And, at this point out of that list, which, those are good teams. And I'm not saying Paulding's not good because Paulding is a solid team. They've got a lot of great athletes. I think they're overrated in the sense that they haven't been tested yet in their schedule. So, if they start winning, if they win a game against Tenora or Fairview, definitely. I mean, I think that they're well deserving of that undefeated record. So
I'm the same way with you, Logan. And Paulding's just hasn't played the teams that they need to play yet. They've won. They've taken care of business. Like you said, they're a great team, and they're throwing up the stats and all that kind of stuff. But until they knock off somebody, one of the tougher teams, to get that respect that they deserve.
And in terms of, I think, strength of schedule, I believe they do statistically and analytically off Drew Pasture's website. I think they play the weakest strength of schedule out of all those teams on the 4-0.
Okay. Wow.
Keith?
Yeah, for me, it was I guess I was probably surprised. To me, I only base this off of last week. That game versus Wauseon, to me, is kind of concerning. You were in a heated match, 7-7, up until the late in the fourth quarter, and you still have a quality schedule in front of you at Archibald. You still got to play Liberty Center. You still got to play at Delta. Then you finish up with Patrick Henry. So right now, Evergreen's 4-0. By week 10, does anybody know what their record really is going to be? I mean, could it be 8-2, or could they be 6-4? I mean, they're off to a good start, but last week, the win versus Wauseon for me kind of put the brakes on a little bit for Evergreen. Yeah, trust me, we're probably the biggest Evergreen fans for the last couple of years because we want to see them succeed of all the stuff they've been through with the coaches, turnover and everything, but. You guys just got to finish strong, and everything will take care of itself.
I just want to make a quick comment with Evergreen. I feel like that game last week, because I knew you kind of weighed that heavily into your decision. I just feel like that game between Wauseon, like there's kind of that tag to that game where Evergreen's always been kind of like the little brother in the league.
Yep.
They're one of the smallest schools in the league. Wauseon's that big school that, historically had a lot of success. So I think going into that game, it's got to take kind of a mental toll on Evergreen. So, they've got that in their minds, and Wauseon's kind of coming into that school, into that game like, we're Wauseon, we're the bigger school, we can handle Evergreen, so I figured that game would probably be closer than what people had thought. But no, I think you made some very good points, Keith.
If you win the Archibald this week, hey, you'll erase my mind. So
100%. All right, we're gonna do 0-4 teams.
A little tougher, but we can do the same thing.
Yeah, I got to look for just a minute here.
What 0-4 team is underrated?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We all have to say them at the same time. I'll throw mine out there if you want. Unless you want to say them all at the same time.
We'll say them at the same time, so
Yeah,
it
I like
doesn't
that.
influence us. I do like that too. Let me check something real quick.
0-4 team is underrated. Man. That's tough. It is. It is tough.
All right,
I think I got mine.
I'm good.
ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Wauseon.
I said Ayersville.
Okay. Why don't you
I
kick
thought
it off?
about that.
Well, I mean, look at Ayersville's schedule. They played Delta, they played PH, they played Sycamore, Mohawk, and then they played Fairview. And I mean, we talked about Tenora's non-conference schedule. I mean, that's a pretty tough schedule itself, right there.
I believe I
Playing-
looked, and I think Ayersville's was ranked higher above Tenora for
so
strength
I mean,
of schedule.
They got four losses, and they continued to get a little bit better there. Were putting points up, and I just think Ayersville could be a team that they play Paulding this week and could cause some havoc.
Yeah, I like that pick out of Ayersville, and they hung with Fairview in the first half there, and they've got some solid athletes. Their offensive line is fairly decent too, and then I always talk about Ayersville's very prideful of that offensive line, and they got Burner in the backfield, and he's had some success there too. And I had kind of thought going into the year, I agree. I thought Ayersville could maybe kind of change some minds and maybe win a few more games than they did last year because they've got the talent there, and I think Coach Mickey learned some things last year, and he took some accountability for some of the games and the results, and I think they're making steps in the right direction. But I went with Wauseon. I was kind of between Wauseon and Ottawa Glandorf a little bit, but I chose Wauseon just because they've had some really close games. Week 1, they had Fairview on the ropes, and Fairview is a very solid team. So after week 1 and hearing about it, I'm like, man, maybe Wauseon's kind of changed some things this year. And week 2 they go to the Bellevue on the road. They lose 14-42, which they're, I'm sure, a solid team. They face Eastwood week 3 at Eastwood, lose 13-35, which Eastwood's pretty solid too.
Yep.
And then last week at Evergreen, and they lost 7-14. So these games, they're competitive, and they've had a 3-game road stretch, and they just can't get over the hump. But I mean, I think Wauseon's a team to definitely watch, and their roster's huge. They got a lot of players and some athletes, and just probably the last 5 or 6 years, they haven't been able to piece things together to have a quality season like they're used to having. But for me, I think Wauseon's maybe a little bit underrated, just because they're more than capable of hanging with some of these better teams.
Yep, I took Wauseon as well, Logan. You noted some good numbers there. Wauseon, got a meat grinder of a schedule coming up. Patrick Henry, Delta, Archibald, Bryan, and then Liberty Center. So first 4 games, you had a couple close ones against quality opponents. Could have went either way, but mine was Wauseon for the reasons that Logan pointed out.
Yeah, I kind of like yelling that out at the same time.
Yeah,
so
pretty awesome.
Because I know for sure if one of you guys would have set a team, it would have probably influenced me a little
I
bit.
agree.
I would have started thinking that. So. And then the last hot take, this is just real quick, but we always like to keep it light in here. But inquiring minds want to know, does pineapple belong on pizza? Be honest, are you team pineapple because you get a balanced flavor? Or team no fruit because you fear change? And if you ban pineapple, what's your most daring topping that actually works? I'm going to say right now, I'm not eating pineapple on pizza.
No way.
I don't like pineapple on pizza.
There's no pineapple on my pizza.
I've had it.
AJ, you like pineapple on pizza?
Yeah, it's not bad. I've had it. Kayla likes pineapple on pizza, so we've had it a couple times, but it's not bad. But no, I'm a meat guy. So you just pile the meat on there, pile some extra cheese on there.
Give me a meat lovers or just some plain pepperoni.
Yeah, I'm golden. I'm a big extra cheese guy. That's my thing. I don't need pineapple and all that stuff.
Okay, so two things. What's your go-to pizza? Any kind of pizza?
What do you mean?
Like just pepperoni pizza. Maybe
you
let's
know
just
what?
do this.
I can
favorite
eat
kind of pizza, and what's your favorite pizza place?
Oh, geez, I don't know about that one. That's tough. I could eat pizza every day. Just
Me
get it
too.
from someplace different.
Absolutely. I'm favor that.
I mean, I really love Padron's Pizza. I love Drop Zone. I love Clubhouse. I used to be a Papa John's person, but I don't know. They've just gotten to be
it's bad anymore.
Used to be a Marco's guy. Kind of got away from there. I can eat pizza from anywhere. Just get it from different places.
Depends what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
I mean, I like all the pizza places. For me, pizza wise, like I'm either a pepperoni or meat lovers type of guy.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes I like a good specialty pizza. Chicken bacon ranch.
Yeah.
As my grandpa would say, chicken does not belong on pizza. So he will not even touch that if we have pizza like that when he's over. But
bacon and hamburger.
What's your favorite kind of pizza?
I'm pretty simple. I can go any way. Cheese. Hey, I can work with cheese. I can work with pepperoni, mushroom. Actually, this past Sunday from Drop Zone, I got double pep and double cheese from Harold and Liz out there. Oh my gosh, that was so good. That was so good.
Pizzas I love their specialty pizzas.
It sure
too.
was.
That's what Grace and I like to get from there.
So. A funny pizza story for you, Logan, and for the people out there. We got a funny pizza story. Keith knows this story from when I was growing up. Because if you guys don't know, Keith and I we've known each other since we were like 10. But Keith's brother Paul and I are best friends, and we've been best friends forever. And when we were young, we went to Toledo with his mom and his dad, and we were getting Little Caesars pizza.
When it was good.
Yeah, when it was good. And it was dark out, and his mom asked what we wanted for pizza, and I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, pepperoni mushroom. And I'm like, I don't like mushrooms. And she turns around, she goes, it's dark, you won't even see it. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not going to say anything. So that was my first pepperoni and mushroom pizza. You're not going to see it, so just eat it. So that was my first
Do you still eat pepperoni mushroom?
Still eat pepperoni mushroom.
I guess it worked then.
That was when you got the double, the pizza, or the big old bag. You just ripped it open.
Yeah,
I remember that like it was yesterday. We were in a parking lot at Little Caesars, as dark as heck, just lights on the outside, and we can go on and on about this story. But that was a fun. That was a great night.
Oh shoot.
All right. Well, we'll wrap things up. I always like to keep things light. So, yeah, definitely appreciate that hot take. And we thank BSN Sports for sponsoring that segment. Just continue to send those hot takes in because, again, this is the best part of the podcast. We have some really good and deep conversations a lot of times. So we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back with Week 5 game predictions and closing thoughts.
BSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan to get started. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at batandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Fitzenreiter HVAC, keeping Northwest Ohio comfortable since 1955. Whether it's scorching summer heat or bitter winter cold, Fitzenreiter has your back with expert heating, cooling, and indoor air quality solutions for your residential and commercial needs. Need fast, reliable service? Call the local pros you can trust. Fitzenreiter HVAC. Give them a call today at 419-784-0828 or visit fitzenreiterhvac.com for more info. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at NWOBball.com. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Nestled in the heart of Sherwood, Ohio, Crystal Fountain Park invites you to say I do, in a place where history whispers around every corner. Surrounded by 28 acres of woods, meadows, illuminated trails, outdoor chapels, a tranquil reflection pond, and fire pit lounges. Whether planning a wedding, rehearsal dinner, or elegant gathering, Crystal Fountain Park blends historic elegance with modern flexibility and heartfelt service. Visit crystalfountainpark.com or call 419-576-1910 today to book your unforgettable moment. RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer. Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center. Voted first place in the Crescent News Reader's Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally. Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on TenoraRams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well.
We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we're on to Week 5 game predictions. We have a lot of good games on the slate, so we'll get things started here first. First up is Antwerp 1-3, heading to the Hicksville Aces 1-3. This game, looking at it, I thought, could easily be a coin flip. Both teams, struggled a little bit to start and through non-conference schedule, but a battle of the 1-3s, and I think in this one, I'm going to take Coach Hale in the Antwerp Archers. Just maybe kind of liked a little bit better of what their resume was in non-conference and some of their strength of schedule. And I think the Archers just proved to be a little bit stronger of a team than the Aces going into Week 5.
I'm with you, Logan. This one I left blank for a while. It's a 50-50 game for me. We saw Hicksville last week, a nice freshman quarterback, Zane Smith, and who's Ben Taylor, wide receiver out there. They got
really nice receptions.
Cross Z-Dyke, Bruiser running back, and Colin Lavelle. Hicksville has a nice offense. But in the end, I went with the Coach Hale and the Antwerp Archers.
AJ had Hicksville.
I'm taking Hicksville.
And Matthew had Antwerp, so we're split across the board on that game. Next game is going to be the NWO Sports Radio game broadcast of the week. And that's Ayersville 0-4 at Paulding 4-0. So two teams, a little bit total actually not a little bit. They're on total opposite sides of the spectrum, in their records. We had just talked earlier with Ayersville maybe being a little bit underrated. I think they really are. Paulding, we know they've got skilled players all over the place. I think it's going to be a matter of if Ayersville can shut down and maybe apply some pressure to Colt Hunt. If they can get pressure on him and slow down that passing attack from Paulding, I think it gives them a shot. But at the end of the day, I think the Panthers are red hot right now. They've reeled off 4 in a row. Coach Menzie has got the boys playing pretty well. And again, like we always say, we talk about strength of schedule is, you can only play who's on your schedule. Yep. And they've done just that. And I think Paulding comes out with a win on Friday night.
I'm taking Paulding, but I think this game's closer than what a lot of people think. So Paulding for me.
Paulding for me.
And AJ had Paulding and Matthew had Paulding as well. Next game, Wayne Trace 0-4 at Edgerton 4-0. Another battle of two teams in the GMC that are, again, one's on top, one's on the bottom. For this one, I think Wayne Trace is coming off a tough loss to Paulding last week. This week, it doesn't get much easier with a Coach Flagel team that's 4-0. Pretty much, I think, replica on the offensive side of the ball is what Paulding, Maddox Baker and Kellen Sanchez and Carter Gibson, and the list goes on and on. So a lot of skilled positions there that are top of the league. I think the Bulldogs come up with this one, and I think they win by 2 or 3 scores.
This is one of those games that Wayne Trace always seems to give Edgerton fits. I mean, I think Edgerton will win, but I think, again, I think this is closer than what people will think. So for me, Coach Flagel and the Dogs.
I'm going with the Dogs.
And AJ and Matthew both had Edgerton as well, so Edgerton across the board. The next game is going to be the game of the week, and we'll be there live broadcasting with Tenora Rams live. And that's Tenora 1-3 at Fairview 4-0. Now, don't let the records, fool you with Tenora being 1-3. Again, they played one of the toughest non-conference schedules around. This is a game that's been talked upon as the game that could possibly decide the fate of the GMC this year among, maybe 1 or 2 other ones. Yep. But this is the first big game in the Green Meadows Conference. Going to be a packed crowd, so if you like a good football game, again, continue to go to these game of the weeks because there may be only standing room at this game.
Yep.
Looking at the game, I think with this, I really like the Fairview Apaches. I know with Tenora, we've seen improvement over the last couple of weeks, but my big thing and deciding factor in this game is Tenora's defensive backs. They're so green, They lost 8 members of the defense from last year's defensive squad. Coach Helton does a terrific job with those kids. Again, we've seen improvement week after week, but I just don't know if they have what it takes to stop Will Zedike and Logan Olinger and Gavin Mead and all the skill players that they have. They've got 5 or 6 receivers that go out there and get a reception every single game. So, I mean, if you try to stop Olinger, good luck because they're going to throw over to Mead. And, if not, Will Zedike is showing that he can scramble a little bit and pick up yards as well. So I think I like the Apaches in Friday's night's matchup.
Oh, boy, very good points, Logan. And this is a game that's has eaten at Fairview since the game ended last year. That's all I talked about during the coaches show.
Right.
Tenora. I think one thing Tenora has going for it is they've had, as you said, tough non-conference schedule. Number 2 is I'm curious as to what Coach Helton dials up defensively. Number 3, the Fairview and Sonora offenses are obviously Fairview's a little more high-powered, but they're pretty close to being the same offense. And in practice, I think going against the Sonora offense for the Rams defense will benefit them in this game just because you're seeing a similar offense. You got receivers going everywhere. Obviously, defense is not as strong as what it has been in years past for Sonora, as you said, Logan. Mass graduations for the Rams on the defense side of the ball are still young and inexperienced. And until somebody beats Sonora and they're still the 2-time defending GMC champions, I'm taking the Rams.
I'm going to take Fairview in this one. I just think the Rams. I don't think they're going to have enough to handle Fairview. I could be wrong, but.
And AJ had Tenora and Matthew had Fairview, so we're split across the board. And I just want to make a note. I think the over-under for this game has to be like 55, 60 points. It's going to be a shootout, no doubt in my mind.
So you guys know, we're not leaving Fairview till about 11 p.m.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. I was like, the over-under at the time we get out of there is going to be 11 o'clock.
It's going to be like watching one of those West Coast games where you're up till midnight watching the football game. So, there's going to be a lot of points, and that scoreboard is going to be lit up on Friday night.
One of those I'm praying I don't have to go into work early.
Hopefully
get home, I won't go to sleep.
for you.
Both teams, defense has been a little bit suspect this year, but their offenses are high-powered, and if you like a lot of action and scoring, go to Friday night's game. Next game, Evergreen 4-0 at Archbold 3-1, and this was in consideration for a game of the week as well. Again, Evergreen is 4-0, undefeated at this point. Archbold coming off a huge conference win against a solid Delta team. I'm going to take the Blue Streaks. I know we talked, and we're very high of Evergreen, but I think Archbold things are finally clicking. Offense, defense, special teams. Especially if they can put together 4 quality quarters of detailed football, I think Archbold walks away with this one and may even win by 2+ scores.
My heart says Evergreen, but I've seen Archbold play. I'm going to take the Streaks in this one.
Streaks for me too.
And AJ had Archbold and Matthew had Archbold, so Archbold across the board. Next game, Brian 1-3 at Liberty Center 4-0.
This one's easy.
I think off the bat, I know Brian's continuing to try to turn the program around and Coach Staten, but Liberty Center is going to be too much again. I think this one is a running clock easily, and at halftime, they're getting some of those subs in. So give me Liberty Center.
Tigers for me.
LC.
And AJ and Matthew both had Liberty Center. Next game, Delta 2-2 at Swanton 0-4. Again, I think Delta's the heavy favorite in this one, and I think they fulfill this win. I think, again, they're up huge at halftime. Unfortunate for Swanton, back-to-back weeks of playing Liberty Center and then going to play Delta. Tough for them, but I think Delta comes up with this one. Huge.
Delta big.
Panthers for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had Delta as well. Next game, Patrick Henry 4-0 at Wauseon 0-4. This game's at Wauseon. Sometimes can be a pretty tough place to play. I want to say I think this game's actually going to be maybe a little bit closer than what people think. Wauseon shown glimpses here and there. Cale Albright, from the NWO Sports broadcast crew, they said they were really impressed when he played against Fairview. If they could just develop a couple more weapons on the outside for him to pass the ball to, they'd maybe have a little bit more success. But I like Patrick Henry. I'm going to take the Patriots, but I'm just saying this one's going to be, I think, closer than what people anticipate.
I agree with you, Logan. Regardless, still taking Patrick Henry.
PH.
And AJ and Matthew both had Patrick Henry as well. Next game, Eden 3-1 at Erie Mason, Michigan 0-3. No brainer for me. Got to take the Bombers. And for all you Eden fans out there, we are very Eden favorite. I'll let these guys make their prediction, but showing Eden some love in this week, that's for sure.
Yeah, Eden's one of those sleeper teams you quietly look up, or you look up and quietly they're 3-1. So, but at me for taking the Bombers.
Bombers for me.
And AJ and Matthew picked Eden as well. So Eden across the board. Next game, Hilltop 0-4 at Ottawa Hills 2-2. Hilltop, again, continue to struggle the last few years. Ottawa Hills, they're not the same Ottawa Hills as of the past. They lost a couple key athletes. But this game being at home at Ottawa Hills, I think the Green Bears take this one.
Green Bears for me.
Ottawa Hills for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had Ottawa Hills. Next game, Montpelier 2-2 at Summerfield, Michigan 2-1. Don't really know much about Summerfield, Michigan. Again, it's kind of tough to follow some of these schools from Michigan. But Montpelier, I like Montpelier. They've kind of been up and down and all around. So really not sure what we're going to get. They start off week one, a win versus Antwerp 24-16, drop to Woodmore 6-48. Then they play Edgerton really tough and have a chance to win it at the end, lose 28-29. Last week they win 48-6. I think they're going to pull out this one. I think they're going to end up on the right side of the coin flip. I think this one's close though.
Locos for me.
I got Montpelier.
And AJ and Matthew both had Montpelier. Next game, Whiteford, Michigan 2-1 at North Central 1-3. Now, one of the Michigan schools I do know a little bit about is Whiteford, Michigan, because they have a rich program history and they win a lot of games. Yep. So in that sentence, I think I'm going to take Whiteford. I think they win big, running clock.
Huge win for Whiteford.
Whiteford.
And AJ and Matthew both had Whiteford. Next game, Columbus Grove 1-3 at Delphus Jefferson 1-3. I think the Bulldogs are starting to finally hit their stride entering conference play. Delphus Jefferson struggled this year too. But Columbus Grove's got a lot of really good athletes, and I think they win this one big. They're making another statement in week 2 of conference play, so give me the Bulldogs.
Dogs.
I got Grove.
And AJ and Matthew both had Columbus Grove. Next game, Arcadia 2-2 at Lipsick 4-0. Lipsick coming in this game 4-0 at home, coming off a big win against Pandora Gilboa. No doubt in my mind they win this week too. Give me the Vikings.
Lipsick.
Lipsick for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had Lipsick. Next game, Van Wert 2-2 at Defiance 2-2. Could get interesting. Defiance is coming off a tough loss to St. Mary's. Van Wert's coming off a heartbreaking loss to Salina by 1 point. I just think Van Wert's, their offense, I think, is the big question for me. They're very dynamic. They can run their quarterback. They've got guys like Xavier Kelly at running back who can also catch the ball out of the backfield. I think it's going to give Defiance's defense a little bit of trouble on Friday night. So for that, I'm taking the Cougars.
I think the Cougars win big.
I'm taking Defiance at home.
And AJ's picking Van Wert and Matthew's picking Van Wert. So Tony, a man of the people of Defiance.
Yeah.
Next game, Ottawa Glandorf 0-4 at Elida 2-2. I think I got to take Elida on this one. Ottawa Glandorf, I feel like same story as last year. They continue to play teams really, really tough. They get close in the fourth quarter. Just can't get over that hump. For that reason, and with Elida being at home, I'm going to take Elida.
Taking the Dogs.
Elida for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had Elida. Next game, Napoleon 2-2 at Sylvania Northview 1-3. Coach Bach from the Vikings is over at Northview and won their game this year. I don't know if last year they even won a game. So starting off the season solid with a 1-3 record for their program. But Napoleon got to be riding sky high off that win to Clay.
Huge.
I think Napoleon, Keith, you had brought up their schedule. I think this is where they start to roll. And we kind of saw that last year that they were playing their best football at the end of the year and really made a deep playoff run. I think that starts this week and they end up with another win. And at the end of the week, they are 3-2. Give me the Wildcats and Coach Swery.
Yep. Cats for me.
Wildcats.
And Matthew and AJ both had Napoleon. A couple 8-man games on the slate. Holgate 2-1 at St. Joe's Central Catholic. I kind of looked at this game back and forth, kind of looked at who St. Joe played, kind of looked at who Holgate played. I think this game's a coin toss. For that, I know it's on the road. It's kind of a longer trip for Holgate too, but I'm taking the Tigers. I'm rolling with local school here, and I think they get the job done.
I'm taking the other end. I'm taking St. Joe's.
And I'm going with St. Joe.
And AJ had Holgate, and Matthew had St. Joe. Next game, Stryker 1-3 at Cardinal Stritch 0-4. This week I got to take Stryker. Cardinal Stritch really suffered a lot of tough losses by big margins early on. Stryker has been competitive in some of their games, so I'm going to take the Panthers.
Stryker for me.
Stryker.
And Matthew and AJ had Stryker, and man, AJ did not wear his number 1 fan shirt. He's got to bring that one of these weeks, and we'll have to show you a glimpse on camera of AJ being Stryker's number 1 fan. So that concludes our week 5 game predictions. Closing thoughts, guys.
This is going to start getting interesting, fellas.
Yep, the nights are getting young. It's going to be another great Friday night.
Yeah,
I mean, they got 80 at kickoff.
I can't
probably
believe the temperature.
The first
things warming up this.
The
last
first
week.
5 weeks heading into. I mean, it's just amazing weather. But get on out. We say over and over and over again. Go find a great game. By the way, Sonora is playing at Fairview, so we're picking it for you. Go check it out. Get there early, and it's just going to be a slobber knocker of a Friday night game at the reservation at Fairview.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what those guys said, and especially like I said, those game of the weeks that we pick, continue to go to those. Those are going to be really, really good games, and every single one that we've picked this year has not disappointed. And this week will be at Fairview for Tenor at Fairview, and if you can't happen to make it, tune in to YouTube at Tenor Rams Live and Network One Sports. So we'll have you covered if you can't make it. But other than that, I think that concludes everything from us. But we'd like to thank all of our sponsors: BSN Sports, Bat Stevens Body Shop, Titan Sports, Fitz and Ryder, Edward Jones and Melissa Stockman, DeLarber Concrete and Hauling, Crystal Fountain Park, Defiance Chiropractic Center, Northwest Ohio Basketball, Remax Realty, and Matt Yost, Tenor Rams Live, and the Drop Zone Pizzeria. We'd also like to give a special thanks to Defiance Chiropractic Center for allowing us to use their facility for the podcast. Stay tuned for the next NWO Sports Podcast in the near future, and thanks for watching.